smells really good.
I need a science lesson.
Anything goes. You're the baker. This is your domain.
Hey there, bakers. Welcome to the Flour Finals, the series that invites bakers from around the country to create original, impressive, flavorful recipes. The challenge? There are just a few things that they're not allowed to use. I'm Kimberly Renee, your host, and I am excited to take you on this journey. Out of hundreds of amateur and professional bakers who submitted their recipe ideas, only 8 will compete to have their recipes published on kingarthurbaking.com and for the coveted title of the Flour Finals 4. These top 8 bakers must go head-to-head to see whose recipe has what it takes to withstand the scrutiny of King Arthur's acclaimed test kitchen, and which recipe you, our baking community, will love when you try it at home. This week's recipe showdown is all about chocolate. It's chocolate orange gingerbread cake versus Ancho chili avocado chocolate truffle tart. Test kitchen, how do you feel about this one? The mouths are chewing.
I'm really impressed with this, actually.
I am too.
I hate chocolate and orange, but I love this combination altogether. I think the texture of the filling is really great.
I can definitely taste the avocado. That's weird. I really didn't think I would, but
I might like a little more salt in the filling, or some salt in the filling.
My name is Savannah Lloyd, and this is my vegan chocolate orange gingerbread cake. Hi, I'm Savannah. I'm 26 years old, and I am an actor, singer, director, and in the daytime, I am a customer service representative. What brings me joy in life is baking, specifically for other people, because it all started with making birthday cakes for my family and my friends. So I'm not formally trained in any way. I've really just learned from my dad, and also self-taught. YouTube is a great resource. You can expect a lot of things in this cake. A lot of flavor, a lot of fun. It's spicy, it's chocolatey, it has a nice citrus element to it, and it has just the right amount of sweetness from the buttercream. So I like to think that my vegan chocolate orange gingerbread cake has a little bit of something for everyone.
I love it. Okay, well, let's jump right in.
So the first thing you're going to do with this recipe is curdle your non-dairy milk. It's gonna mimic buttermilk. And how you do this is you mix apple cider vinegar with your non-dairy milk and let it sit for just a couple minutes. It doesn't take too long, but it's nice to do this in the beginning because then it's ready to go when you're ready for your wet ingredients. And you're just gonna kind of stir it up in here. And you'll know when it starts to curdle because it'll start to stick to the utensil that you're using, and it'll look kind of stringy and it'll look separated. But that means it's doing what it needs to do. We now move on to the dry ingredients. So this has quite a few because it's a spice cake, but it's gonna make it taste really good because of all those spices. So the dry ingredients consist of, we've got our flour here, that always goes in first. And then we've got some baking soda, we've got some salt, and we've just got some basic granulated sugar here. And then the fun part, we have all of our spices. So here we have cinnamon, cloves, ginger, and nutmeg. And a lot of these remind me of pumpkin pie. You kind of see similarities with what's in gingerbread and what's in pumpkin pie. But the ginger is really what shines in this. So you just mix them all up in there really good. And there we go.
All right, so we've got all the dry ingredients ready. What happens next for us?
So now we have in a separate clean bowl, slightly bigger, because this is where you're gonna end up mixing everything together. But this is where you're gonna put all of your wet ingredients now. So we have refined coconut oil. Make sure that this is refined and not the extra virgin cold pressed coconut oil, because that tastes like coconut, whereas this has a much more mild flavor to it. And make sure that you've melted it and let it cool. Otherwise, we're gonna start cooking the cake before it's even in the oven. Next, we're gonna be putting in our molasses. Now this is traditional, original molasses. Make sure it's not blackstrap, because that's a little too robust for this recipe.
So if we don't have molasses, could we use maple syrup or brown sugar? Are there alternatives here?
Molasses is pretty specific to gingerbread, actually. So I wouldn't recommend substituting anything in this. And luckily molasses is vegan, so I didn't have to substitute and no one will have to substitute. And then we have our cold brewed coffee. Well, you can brew coffee and then just make sure it's cool to the room temperature. And then lastly, in this wet mix, we are gonna bring back our curdled non-dairy milk. And you can kind of see what it looks like. It kind of separates, but that's okay because we're gonna mix them all together. It's gonna kind of be separated in the bowl until you homogenize the molasses with the looser, wetter ingredients. And you can feel it with your whisk. You'll feel that they're coming together. And then we just have to grab our dry ingredients and we're gonna slowly add it into the mixture. So we have our dry mixture here. I'm just gonna add this now into the wet mixture. I like to do it in stages instead of just one huge clump of dry ingredients. It just makes it easier to mix and make sure that the batter is smooth. It smells really good. It's like when that molasses and those spices mix with one another. All right, so it's gonna kind of look clumpy, but you just gotta keep mixing and then eventually it'll smooth out.
Now, do we have to do this by hand? Could we put this in some sort of machine? Any like special tips for us?
Yeah, you could totally put this in a mixer. You don't have to do it by hand. I just think it's fun. That's why I do it. All right, that is looking really smooth and it's smelling really good.
Now, I feel like something is missing. What about the orange part of this?
Yes, I have some pre-zested orange in here. You can use one large navel orange. Just make sure it is some sort of an orange. All right, yep, now you're ready. This baby's ready to go into the oven.
There's a lot of sticky stuff in here, so I'm assuming we've got to make it such that it doesn't get really icky when we're trying to take this out of the pan. So what's next for us?
You are correct. This is a pretty wet batter and it's gonna be a pretty moist cake, which makes it delicious. But because of that, you're gonna definitely want to treat your pan so that it doesn't stick to the pan once it's cooked. Parchment paper is your best friend in baking. And I also pre-greased the pan with vegan butter. You could also use the coconut oil that you use in the recipe, but in its solid form, and you could rub that in there as well. So I have a little trick for those of you who are looking for the cake to not be puffy. Sometimes this happens with cakes, and sometimes it's okay, we want that aesthetically, but for this one we don't. And so in order to ensure that your cake bakes level, I have a trick with tin foil. So you just take a sheet of tin foil, you cut it in half, and we're gonna wrap it around the sides of our pre-greased pan here. And you wanna make sure that the shiny side is facing out, because that's actually what traps in heat and attracts heat. So you wanna face it out. It has to do with like the chemicals and the heat and how it affects it, but it levels your cake. We've got the other half there.
Wait, okay, I don't understand how this works. Okay, wait a minute, Savannah. I thought you were gonna like put it on top or something, like level it out like this, or how, okay, I need a science lesson. What is happening and how does making a tinfoil hat make this a level cake? Please explain.
Heat trapped in the cake is what causes that dome. So if we don't want the dome, we wanna attract the heat away from the center. So the tin foil is acting like that. It's attracting the heat away so that it can be more evenly dispersed throughout the cake.
Okay, that's definitely a trick. I've never heard that. I just learned something new. Hats off to Savannah.
Now we're just gonna pour this in. All right, and this is ready to go into our preheated oven at 350 degrees. Okay, so while the cake is baking, you can then start on your vegan buttercream.
Now, is this that kind of whipped buttercream, or is it more of the thicker, like give us the texture that we're going for?
This is like that classic American buttercream. It's gonna be fluffy, it's gonna be super sweet because we have our confectioner sugar in there, but it's also gonna be elevated in that sense because it has this ground cardamom in here, which sings when it is paired with orange. So this is my favorite frosting recipe, and it's so easy. Okay, so here I'm gonna add in my vegan butter. We're gonna wanna whip this up really good. That's the key to having a really fluffy buttercream, is whipping the butter before any other ingredients are added. You wanna make sure it's lighter and it's fluffy and it's creamy. So once that's all whipped up really good, you're then going to slowly add in our confectioner's sugar on a low speed. Once they're all mixed, it's gonna be kind of clumpy. That's okay. That means that we need to add in our liquid. So then we're gonna add in our vanilla extract, our orange juice, and lastly, that's where the ground cardamom comes in. Now, as these are all mixing, it might seem like it's a little thick, and that's okay. That's why we have our non-dairy milk on the side, but you just wanna make sure that it's a spreadable consistency because we're gonna be spreading it on our cake. That looks really good. That's fluffy, it's smooth. I think this is ready.
So how long does the cake need to bake?
So the time is based on what size pan you use. It has to go in for a little longer, the smaller the pan. But I've done this a couple times now, many times. And 42 minutes for an 8-inch pan at 350 degrees seems to be pretty good. Our cake is ready, baked. It has cooled since getting out of the oven. And then you can use a knife. I'm just using my offset spatula here that I'm gonna be frosting with. Okay. And then I'm just gonna flip this onto some parchment paper here. Look at that. So easy. This is a cooling rack that I've used here. And then you just layer it on top of a cookie sheet. And you can put some parchment paper in here. I did just for easy cleanup, but you don't have to. But this is gonna allow us to ganache the cake once we've frosted it. So you're just gonna take your buttercream that I've whipped up here. The key to easy frosting is to start from the center and work your way out.
So what is the key to not eating all the frosting?
The key is to eat the frosting while you're frosting. I do it all the time. Like, anything goes. You're the baker. This is your domain. But see, it just makes it so easy when you work from the center and go out. And then once you get to the perimeter of the cake, a little easy thing to have clean edges is go around, and it's okay if you get the sides because you're gonna be covering it in ganache. But go around the perimeter here, and then you'll take the spatula and go come up on the side here and then scrape in. You'll just push the edge in, and that gives you a clean edge so that the ganache falls a little more cleanly on it. And you just go throughout the whole cake and do that.
This is oddly satisfying to watch.
Therapeutic is the word. We're gonna have to put this cake in the refrigerator for at least 30 minutes so that this buttercream here can cool and actually get hard, because then we're gonna put warm chocolate over it and you don't want it to melt. So I think this is ready. I can put it in the fridge now.
So how do we make a ganache? I've never made a ganache in my whole life. So please teach me.
It's actually pretty easy. The ingredients are just, you've got your bittersweet chocolate here, which I've pre-chopped. You definitely wanna make sure it's chopped because it's gonna be easier for it to melt. And then you have your non-dairy heavy whipping cream. We're just gonna be putting in our heavy whipping cream into a saucepan, and you're just gonna bring it to a simmer. And you're gonna then put your chopped bittersweet chocolate in a heat-proof bowl. Once you pour in the hot cream over the chocolate, you let it melt, and then you're just gonna take a whisk and you're gonna whisk it up. And then at the very end, you'll add in your butter to give it that shine. And then it'll be ready to pour over your cake.
What's our next step?
When you pour the hot ganache over the cake, it'll naturally fall off the sides of the cake. You want that. So just kind of guide it. You're gonna guide it to the edge, and then it's just gonna kind of fall over like a chocolate waterfall. And then you can go along the sides and kind of even it out as the chocolate is starting to set. Because once the chocolate is away from the hot pan and the hot cream is now starting to cool to room temperature, that's when you're gonna get that ganache. It's like this soft, it's not a liquid, it's not a solid, it's just magic. You're ready to decorate the top of your cake.
Now, could I make my chocolate like the night before?
You can't. That's the specific thing about ganache is that, and chocolate in general, when you're changing the consistency of chocolate, there's something that happens during this process called tempering. And it's very specific to what is happening in that moment and what is happening when you're pouring it when it's still hot over the cake. You're just not gonna be able to manipulate it the way that you're gonna have to by frosting a cake. So you definitely wanna do this, everything ready, chilled cake, ready to go.
So once the ganache is sort of falling off the sides now, do we have to wait for it to cool again? Or is that moment where it's like, okay, now it's firm, we're good to go, we can eat it now? Is it like ready now that the chocolate is on?
If you want to decorate the top with like more of that buttercream, which you will have buttercream left over, or maybe you won't, maybe you ate the rest of it. But if you do, then you're going to want it to cool so that it doesn't melt when you put the buttercream design on it.
Okay, cool. Well, then let's let it cool and then add some more frosting because I feel like that'll be a win.
So I'm going to have a little fun with my decorating today. I'm just feeling this fun curlicue design here. This little star tip is always fun to do on cakes because you can make these little stars like I'm doing here. And then for the finishing touch, you can add oranges in, I did it in a fresh form. I just cut slices here and just put them on top in kind of like a little curlicue like the design. But you could also have dried oranges. You could bake them ahead of time and you could put them on the cake. That's always pretty. But yeah, you just got a fun little design here. Go crazy. It's all up to you with how you want to decorate your cake.
Awesome. Well, this looks amazing, Savannah, but we can't like wrap this up until you try it. So you've got to cut it open.
I know. Also, another trick, if you want to have clean lines when you're cutting through ganache covered cakes, you can always heat up the knife and it'll go right through it. Ooh, look at that. Oh my gosh. It just has this cute, just this little line of the buttercream in there. It's so easy, but it's so elegant.
So describe it to us.
This cake is so moist. It's so dense in a good way. It's rich with the chocolate. That bittersweet chocolate it just really counteracts that spice. This is a really robust cake in terms of the actual inside. That spice really, it's like a punch in your face. It's really, really good. And then just these little hints of the buttercream, like by adding that on the outside, you've got it on the little layer of it in the inside. It's sweet, it's citrusy. And on the outside, the balance of this is beautiful. It's like a symphony.
To enjoy your amazing voice before we leave, maybe sing us a little something about this gingerbread.
This gingerbread, chocolate orange vegan cake will make your taste buds sing.
Woo! Encore! Thank you so much, Savannah. This has been incredible. For everybody watching at home, this recipe is available right now on the King Arthur Baking website. So make sure you go check it out. Please also leave a review. Let us know. Tag Savannah, tag King Arthur, you can tag me too. Give us a little @ on Instagram and whatnot. Let us know how you feel about it, and we'll see you all next time. Thanks for watching.